Welcome to the opening of the Thesis online show of the Massive Interaction Design SUPSI. I am Massimo Botta, the head of the master program. With me, there are two external members of the Thesis Commission, so Sabina Barcucci and Antonio Pasquale, that I would like to thank you for their work and the support during the reviewing process of the Thesis project. I invite Antonio or the self to briefly comment on this academic year and to introduce themselves. So, Antonio.
Thanks, Massimo. Thanks, everybody. As many of you know me already, I'm a creative director at Frog, and this is also for me my 7th year being a professor at MAIND. And actually, this is also my first time as a jury committee, and the pleasure to be here for the end of the conclusion of the year. For me, it's always an emotion, let's say, to see all the student progress over the year through the different courses, and in particular, this year for me was very exciting to see the result of the final thesis, where I saw also many of you growing and improving your expertise in all the different, let's say, projects you have been working on. I can tell you that overall I see a very experimental year, where we were trying to explore many different scenarios of interaction in a difficult context. So all of you have been passing through this moment of transitioning from physical to the remote working. But what really I can underline is the great quality of the final project, and especially for many of you that have been working on interesting venture ideas, the opportunity to keep working on your idea, for participating into a award, for also start your own venture, your own startup. So really happy to be here today with all of you.
Okay, thank you very much, Antonio, for your consideration. Now I think there are few technical problems probably with Sabina, so probably she's connecting now again. Sabina, you can speak.
Yeah, can you hear me, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm Sabina Barcucci, and I'm part of the jury the SUPSI MAIND thesis for the 3rd year in a row, and I'm a freelancer, and I've been working in design agency for years, but in the last years I prefer to switch to a career as a freelancer, and I mainly work with the cultural industry, cultural institutions, scientific institutions, as an innovator and change maker. It's a role, it's a little bit fuzzy role. But yeah, I have been particularly satisfied from this 2020 edition of the master. I've definitely seen a great endeavor made by students in conceiving and developing many complex projects. And in all cases, I've seen great endeavors to work on important topics. Every topic has been somehow perused and developed with a lot of attention to environment, to social impact, to equality, right to information. So I see, that I guess that this crisis somehow has a great influence, potential influence in the future of design, and definitely all the students of the master this year demonstrated their intention and commitment in working on serious project with and also great technological endeavor behind to solve major social and environmental problems. So yeah, I'm very positively impressed by this year, and I'm happy to have once more participating in helping students get in the professional world with such nice design skills. So thank you to everyone.
So thank you very much, Sabina, for your words. This is a very significant moment, as it is the closure of an academic year where students, professors, and faculty have worked together to acquire new knowledge and to improve competencies and skills. This year for me, and hopefully for the students, has been a very successful year for several reasons. First of all, the positive spirits of the students, the enthusiasm put into the development of their work and the results obtained. Secondly, we were all affected by this difficult period, but each one responded responsibly and with an even greater commitment. Thirdly, during the thesis module, we had the proof of your growth in terms of competencies and skills. This impression have been validated from the good level of the thesis projects and have been appreciated by the thesis jury. 4 main areas of interest have emerged through your thesis projects. The first one is sustainable cities and communities. The second one is responsible consumption and production. The third one, inclusion and health. And the fourth, parenting, education, and innovation. Now, I would like to introduce the students who are the protagonists of the day with their projects. So the first one is, she's Giulia Albertini from Switzerland, Ticino. Anna Gasharova from Bulgaria and Italy. Rishab Attidukur from India. Julian Jagan from UK. Mir Joshi from India. Maria Emilia Kaitalzov from Uruguay. Anne Quaro from Kenya. Ivana Moreno Santos from Brazil. Siddharth Raja from India. Sara Palmiotti from Italy. Artur Strupka from Switzerland. Serena Vernova from Italy. And Eleonora Zorzi from Switzerland. Then we have Orly Golan. She's an external expert from London. Alice Mela from Turin. And Federico Lameri from Munich. So this event is organized into 4 sessions, which correspond to the 4 thematic areas. Every session starts with a video summarizing the students' projects. Then our three experts, so Orly, Alice, and Federico, will make the project reviews. And after that, the experts will ask students some questions. So I invite the experts to introduce themselves. Orly, if you want.
Yeah, of course. Thank you very much. And thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to see all of the faces, and I'm very excited to be here. So my name is Orly. I work as a UX UI design lead in WeForm. WeForm is a company that strive to improve farmers' life in rural areas at the moment in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And I'm responsible on improving the product experience that we have, but also building the whole user experience theory and thesis and the team within the company.
Okay, thank you very much. Alice?
Hi everybody, and thank you for having me here today. So I'm Alice, and I am a lead interaction designer at Todo. We design and develop interactive installations for museums, private brands, and the likes. And I personally take care of the whole process from concept to production and every user-centered design aspect that goes with it.
Okay, thank you very much, Alice. Then there is Federico. I don't know.
Hi.
Hi, Federico. We can hear you.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Yes. So thank you very much for having me, guys. It also feels like a traveling in time here, seeing all these faces. So my name is Federico, and I'm a senior interaction designer at Personio. Personio is a software that B2B software, and we're aiming to become the HR software for medium-sized businesses all over Europe. So we help organizations managing employees in a much more user-centered way. And I'm, again, very excited to be here. And thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, Federico. So now we can start with the first group of Thesis projects.
with a platform to sell their ugly food, because it's actually something that is completely discarded. So the fact that this is a platform for them to finally sell ugly food is a way to sort of bypass the retailers, which is the main supply chain. Then there's also the fact that there are no middlemen in the entire service. So this enables farmers to earn a larger and a fair share of the profits. So that's the main idea behind this entire service platform.
Mm-hmm. And then maybe, I don't know if we still have time, and it's okay to ask, but, can you explain a little bit about the supply chain and how you see it happen? So there is no middleman, which is amazing for the farmer. So you were thinking that each farmer will have an access, a free access to the platform, so they can upload their supply, and then there will be some kind of arrangement of delivery?
No, so basically, Ugly Fresh will be the link between the farmer and the end user. So we will work directly with the farmers, source the produce, and it will go through the entire cold chain process to keep the fresh food healthy and nutritious as much as possible. And finally, that will end up with the user. So we form the link sort of between the farmer and the end user. The problem in traditional supply chains is the fact that there are multiple middlemen involved. There are retailers, and then there are people in logistics. There are people in the distribution and the processing areas of the supply chain, and this really dilutes all of the profits or the share of profits that the farmer has access to, and that is a really big issue, and they are exploited as much as possible. So at the end, they are really looked down upon, and their livelihoods are not good at all. So by removing all of the middlemen, there's a real opportunity for farmers to gain a lot more from this service, and gain a lot more that they really deserve.
Yeah, definitely they do deserve more. I think that when I traveled in Tanzania, in some of the rural areas there in Mbeya, I spoke with a farmer that told me, like, I cannot even give price for the middlemen that I sell. Like, I have my bananas, I go to the market, I just get what I get. I don't have any say on the price that I'm going to get. So I think that it really is like a really good opportunity for them, and then for waste. More context about it. I think it was, it really gives the whole picture now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, Julian. Well, first I found very interesting the topic. I'm a big plant lover myself, so it's always interesting to see projects on the topic. And I see your main focus, and I also wanted to say that I really find interesting the way you use chatbots, as natural language and chatbots are these days growing a lot in terms of customer experience and UX-wise as well. So it's nice to see an innovative way of using it. I have one curiosity, as I am surrounded by plants in my place at the moment, and I was wondering, do you think because I see that your project is very much focused on herbs and in general edibles that grow from the seed, but I see a general trend beside growing your own food, which is indeed also quite a trend, but there is also a big trend in terms of indoor plants and people wanting to have greener and greener homes, even when living in cities. And I was wondering, do you think that such a support approach, so as to have a chatbot that helps you growing a plant and tells you what's doing well and what's not going well, could work also with other kind of plants, so touching other segments of a similar market?
Yeah, well, thanks for the question, first of all. I do. I think it can be an all-round helper for people that struggle to really get those good practices in watering their plants and taking care of their plants, no matter if it's decorative or growing food. But really, I think that maybe we even need a paradigm shift from a decorative plant. What is a decorative plant? Like, you can grow citrus seeds. You can grow citrus plants indoors. So maybe we even need this kind of like shift towards looking at creating more with what we do, with what we have in our pastimes. And of course, I think there probably would need to be a redesign of the application, look at the affordances that are given to the growers and kind of really ameliorate that with the process of growing decorative plants. Yeah.
But do you think it could work also if it's not starting from the seed? Because I think what's the main difference could be that one, because certain indoor plants, they take a long while to grow. So a lot of people want to buy an already grown up plant, but then they don't know how to maintain it. And I hear a lot of this, like, oh, but I don't have the green thumb. And then this is why I would like to buy plants, but I don't buy plants because I don't have a green thumb. But then do you think it could work also if you don't start from the seed? And then, so it's like a later stage in the plant life?
Yeah, I think looking at from the element of having a chatbot reminding you is going to really impact even people that are not growing from seeds. I mean, it is. I know obviously a number of people who are pretty unable to take care of plants, no matter if they've bought it already grown. So yeah, I really think that having that interaction and the kind of feeling that you are being guided and taken care of really could help a lot of people that struggle with decorative plants, even if it's not from the seed, which is obviously harder. But yeah, I think then I would need to really look at how to add those little elements of meaningful gamification back into the application, because they were very linked to growing from seeds and very linked to the food process of making you really understand that you are having a real world skill and there's a real world outcome from your growing and from using the application.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
So yeah, I was speaking with my muted microphone. Sorry, but yeah, I was saying that going through the thesis and also looking at the video. First of all, I really like the area that you chose. So mobility in general is something that is a hot topic right now. So especially with our world needing more and more solutions like this. And what I really liked is that you kind of focused your solution on trying to be a kind of a patch solution that tries to fill the gap of the public system. And I think that this could be a really good unique selling proposition for your product. And I was wondering how has this influenced your solution, not only from a design point of view, but also maybe from if you had any thoughts about this, from a strategic placement of a potential product that could come out of this thesis.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, through my research, I found out that most people use public transport, especially the metro system, use it for the day-to-day commute, basically a commute from the home to the work and back, a set travel routine. So this provided me with an opportunity to incorporate an onboarding process where commuters can share their daily travel routine, and kind of lead to a personalized experience. And what this personalization means is lesser input by the user at each step, a cleaner interface because we just need to show information that's specific to that commuter. And what this leads to is an overall application that's not just functional, but it's kind of like a companion to the commuter. So it builds that connection. It's not just like any other mobility application out there. It's tailor-made for each commuter who has a specific routine. And that's what I was trying to aim at.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that really came out of not only the document, but also from the video. And maybe another question on that is, I was wondering if you have ever thought, during the process of somehow incorporating your solution in other existing solutions, like public ones.
Yeah, I mean, the system I've created kind of incorporates with the metro system.
Yeah.
But Bangalore as a city, which I designed for, has many other micro-mobility options as well, which connect to other forms of public transport, like the buses, like the trains. And so the true challenge would be, can we incorporate the system that I designed, which uses rickshaws, to kind of create an ecosystem of multiple micro-mobility options and kind of build a large network of a mobility ecosystem of sorts, which combines public transport and micromobility to then really help reduce the vehicular congestion. As Bangalore, it was called the most congested city in the world in 2019. It's a city in India. So it's a big challenge that we need to solve.
And I hear people, complaining about Milan's traffic. So good. Then thank you very much. I guess this concludes our first session, and we can move to the next one.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.
Can you? Oh, you can't see me. Can you? Might you turn it off and on again? Okay. Sorry, something happened with the camera. It's on my side. You can see my photo. I think it's good enough. So Anna, I think that your project is a really great way to show how we can try and connect more the physical experience of shopping with the online experience of shopping. I think that when I saw your video, I was thinking about the click and collect and how poorly this experience is of choosing things online and then go and pick it up, and it's just like always really disappointing experience. I was wondering if maybe you can tell us a little bit about how this whole journey looks like. So I understood mainly reading your thesis and watching the video about the happy path and what happens when things go really smoothly. So you go online and then you book your appointment and you arrive to the store. But I was wondering how what happens when people don't show up, because people many times say, "Oh, I really want to do that." They schedule an appointment and then never show up.
Well, that's true. I think that the only way to really guarantee 100% of show is if you introduce a kind of penalty, like maybe blocking certain amount of money on their credit card or something like this. But in this case, this is not like booking airplane ticket. So I think it's not the case to do something like this. And what I already have in my service is this reminder message that comes the day before. And it the side of the reminder, it says also there is this sales assistant, as an example, Maria, that is taking care of your order. And I think this aspect could be enhanced even more, like it's not just a system message, there is a person behind this working on it, thinking about it, taking care. So it adds a little layer of, let's say, psychological pressure and making people feel maybe more responsible about it. Like if I don't show, I'm going to disappoint the person. So this is something to do. And as a follow-up, if someone doesn't show, of course, trying to reschedule immediately. I think that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. Just one.
Oh, sorry.
No, please go on.
That anyway, stores have to deal with a certain amount of no shows. It's for sure less painful than returns from the e-commerce, because they're for sure it's wasting time, but at least there are no shipping costs.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I also assume many people order multiple sizes and then return what they don't need, and then the companies usually pay for it. Yeah, so I get it. I think I see how it works. You also chose to do it as a white label, which I think it's quite brave to do. It's like selling this service as a service. What led you do that? Choose to go with the white label and not choosing any brand that you could?
Well, mainly because all of the brands have already really good developed and working e-commerce site. So I thought it's really a lot of pointless work to do to try to develop a whole new platform just to introduce some more features. And also looking around the internet for existing solutions, I saw there are these plugin solutions like Fit Analytics for the the size, the clothing sizes, and things like this. And so I thought it's the way to go.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry, Alice, we can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, can you start from the beginning because I couldn't hear.
Yeah. Sorry, the mic was off. Okay, I'll start from scratch. Well, very nice topic, and I think reusing and second-hand clothing is definitely a way to go, sustainably wise in terms of fast fashion, and it is indeed very much needed at the moment to make it look more glamorous. I see this is a problem in Ticino from your research, but I think it is in many other countries, and it is in Italy as well. I was just curious about one little piece of your supply chain. So I see that you that the rule is that the seller has to clean and iron clothing and then send it to the service provider. And then, but then there is this very important detail about online shopping, which is imagining how it's going to look on you, because you cannot try it on, which is sometimes the main reason why a lot of people don't do online shopping, let alone with second-hand clothing. This is about any kind of clothing shopping. So I was wondering, in this flow where the seller cleans and irons stuff and sends it to the provider, who is going to do the photos for the images on the website to appear? I mean, are you expecting these kind of images with like people or models to wear the clothing on before selling, or how it's going to look like, and who's going to take care of this part?
So basically, I think the final strategy will be decided once a simulation has been done. One of the next thing I will do, it's a simulation indeed to see how it works, and also an estimation of the costs. I will need absolutely a financial projection to figure out the cost around it and everything. But so far, my strategy is the following. Basically, the key service of Secondo will be taking care of the whole process of selling. So the user, after the item, after he chooses the item that he wants to sell, he will fill out a short form, uploading some pictures of each garment. And this will be the pre-selection phase. Basically, this information will be transmitted to Secondo, and an agent will look at the merchandise, will look at the pictures, and pre-select the items that have been accepted. From there on, at this point, the user will also get an estimate of proceeds, let's say. So once the user received the confirmation, the items are collected by Secondo, and once they will be at the warehouse, the merchandise is professionally photographed and published on the website. So I thought this is like the ideal solution, because I've seen existing solutions, especially in Ticino market, and also doing user interviews. I was confirmed that in Ticino especially, very often the merchandise is off-putting because it's not presented well. Online, the pictures are not nice. So I think it's going to be important to valorize more each garment, each piece of garment. And this is also the reason why it has to be provided in a good shape. It has to be good merchandise, let's say.
Okay. So yeah. So it will be the service provider will take care of producing those photos, and then and then eventually clean and fold back the clothing before selling.
Yes, another key feature will be the disinfection process, also because again, through the user interviews, I figured that a lot of people are thinks that secondhand is unclean and unhygienic. They have this feeling of dirt or of not cleanness, let's say. So having it go through disinfection process, especially in a period like the one we are now, I think it will be an added value to the product, and will add value to the piece of garment itself.
Okay, cool. Thank you for the answer. That
Thank
was
you, Alicia.
what I was looking for. You're welcome.
Okay, so I remembered to unmute myself. So let's see to how many people is going to happen today. We're count 2. Yeah, so my questions are for Eleonora. And one of the things that I noticed and kind of focused on by reading your thesis and also looking at your videos, that you focused your design efforts around creating a solution kind of tailored, like notice the choose of words here, around old captains and co, right? And so I was wondering if while designing and developing this product and this service, have you thought at how you would have to adapt your solution when potentially scaling to other maybe different customers, and how has this influenced your decisions?
So yes, as you said, for my thesis, I've actually selected a kind of persona that are interested in luxury fashion and sustainability. So I've developed around that my project, and this persona and brands like Old Captain Co, which made customized and on-demand clothing. As it is right now, yeah, my solution applies well to local luxury fashion brands that usually don't have a physical store.
Yeah.
And I think that with some adaptation, it could also work for other brands, since it can be applied to brands with basic requirements, such as customized fashion products, online e-commerce, and Instagram account. So I think that the technology can be used with no problem. There is just the need to understand what are the necessities of the business. And in this case, there was a necessity to enrich the experience, but it can work for any brands that made custom object and make home delivery.
Yeah. Good. Thank you very much. But anyways, like, really nice project and very interesting to see how you tailored this solution around your persona. Good. Then this also concludes our second sessions, and let's go to the third one.
Am I still going first? Cool. But I think that social commerce is such a really nice way and delightful way to explore your own style and expand it. It feels like it's really the next stage, or the next phase of shopping online. I mean, this is what we do. We're just like looking on different and enjoying to see their style. So I think that really seeing like how you can actually go and then get this product is the next phase. I think that many brands would actually be very interested in something like that. And I also really appreciated the way that he tried to have the physical element as well. So it's not just about browsing different photos, it's also about looking around the world and see what you have. And then if you see something you like, you can take a photo. Those two experiences are quite separated. And I was wondering if you can maybe tell us a bit about how do you think, or from your research, how do you think people will react and how it will fit their expectations if they buy something that they see that other people took photos, like in social network, because it is a bit different than brands.
Yeah. So I think through my research, one very interesting possibility that I put forward to my target audience was if you share your photo wearing the product and the product is then showcased in, say, like a mall with your photo on it, would you like that? And people said that they would really like that. In fact, a lot of people said that they would really love to see that interaction where we become the brand ambassadors for the brands, um, no, I don't think that people would mind that. And there is also this social disparity of, oh, someone else is wearing that, so I'm not going to wear it. I think that's more of a myth, because through my research, no one had a problem with that. In fact, people rely on recommendations from their friends, especially when it comes to apparel, clothing, and shoes. And so I think this interaction of users promoting products through their own image would be successful.
Great, thank you. I was also wondering about, and it probably is related, like to the previous question and your answers slightly, is about how do you think that people can expand their style or explore different styles? So, as you said, like people really do look for recommendations, and I actually see like people won't mind to wear the same thing, but how would they be able to discover new things, completely different things?
Yeah, so I think that was the entire foundation of how I started this project. Using this feature for similar shouts, where you can just long press on a specific shout, and there's an endless carousel of different people tagging the same products in different ways, in different styles, styling them completely differently. I think that is something that a lot of users would appreciate. It wasn't just about different styles; it was also about the different people, different size requirements in terms of ethnicity as well. You have different variations of styles through ethnicity. So I think what I tried to do was craft some sort of solution which would kind of give you a comprehensive look of that product in different kind of scenarios.
Thank you so much. Sorry, there was like a background. Thank you so much more about the project. The last thing I just want to say, if I have heard, is that I really like the visual style that you used. It really meets the personas. I could really see how the personas you described will enjoy browsing that app.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so this time my mic should be on, is it? Yeah. Okay, hi Ivana. Thank you for your presentation, and very interesting topic indeed. I must admit, I know very little, if none, about distance teaching. May I ask you, why did you choose such a topic to work on?
So it's it's distant parenting. It's
parenting. Sorry.
No worries, no worries. If you look nowadays, that you have like 30% of families that have not married couples. Then you have different configurations of families, and also in the situation of pandemic that you have. I think all of us can relate now how difficult it is to be far from your loved ones, and also parents that were never intend to be far from their kids. They experience that in a certain amount. So that's the relevance, I think, for my project. And I chose it because I have personal experience of it, actually. It's I have the perspective of the child, because I grown up with divorced parents, and nowadays I have also my niece and my brother that it's a kind of a similar and different situation at the same time. Although I'm not a mother, and in the situation I'm really deeply involved in it, so I know how this communication is quite difficult. That's
okay.
me.
Okay, I guess this made it easier maybe to find users for your user research as well, which I guess, because I thought while reading your thesis, I thought that sometimes when you do user testing, it's difficult to find users, especially for such specific and peculiar targets. So I was wondering if you struggled with that, but I guess if you are in a if you have been and if you know the situation well, that maybe wasn't too difficult.
It was difficult because of the pandemic, because when you are at home, it's really difficult. But I think, it's a specific one, but also reliable to other things. Because if you think about in general, even in a standard family, you have also with grandma away, the communication is remote, more remote with other family members. Mm-hmm. So even if the case is not exactly the same, or you can relate. Also because it's not only for divorced parents, but also army soldiers or people that have to work for a long period in a different, country, and it's not only the specific case. So it's difficult to find because it's specific, but at the same time it applies to different situations as well. So
Okay, I have one last question, which is a little bit more technical. You mentioned the possibility of compatibility with multiple devices, and I see I've seen in your user journey, your drawings, and in your research that you mentioned some of them, like cameras, and there was in the scenario there was a smartwatch and a TV. How do you envision the compatibility between your service and all these devices? Is it something you thought of?
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly because of my experience with this situation and my niece and everything, it's where I see that you have hardware, you have devices, but then you don't have the software that has all them combined in the proper way to have the best experience. So for simple things like in a call like that, you cannot set two cameras or three cameras at the same thing. So in your tablet, when you're showing a presentation for, seeing a presentation of your child, but then you see the camera, you cannot apply both cameras. You cannot, this setup of cameras is just a simple thing that we cannot, and we struggled a lot over the years. But also like smart TV just because if you can watch a movie together remotely, not having only the physical thing, but also this thing. Also, for homework, if you put a scanner that you can digitalize while the child is doing the homework, then you can, help her instantly. And, if you have the whole setup of devices in this platform, then all the idea of the remote, the video call gets enriched because of that.
Okay, so you imagine make it compatible with the off the shelf, like already on the market devices, not like going for development of specific devices or like proprietary protocols and devices.
No, the first time that I was looking at it, I want to develop this. It's the same thing, but in a portable way. So it's scanner and a camera. But I think in any case, you can use existing devices. You have scanners, portable scanners nowadays, good portable cameras. Smartwatch, smart TV, you have all these devices. I think it's really just a matter of finding the right setup. And that's what I wanted to bring with my project.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's definitely the best direction because it makes it a lot more practical that for everybody already having these devices on their own life. Okay, thank you very much for your answers.
Thank you for your questions.
You're welcome.
Okay, so my questions are going to be for Arthur. So first of all, really cool project. I feel very close to it as when I graduated from the master. So from the MAIND master, I also worked on a project for toy for kids, right? And kind of similar but also different. So my topic was more on music, but some of the interactions were similar. And so one of the things that I noticed when I was working on my project was that the current school system wasn't very welcoming of like new technologies or like new interactive tools that can help children learn topics such as programming or music in my case. So I'm wondering, after almost 6-7 years, if that has changed and if you witnessed some progression there.
Yeah, hi Federico. First
Hi.
of all, thanks for your question. And that's exactly the point. Unfortunately, the school today, especially in Ticino, is not ready to make a radical change in teaching methods yet. But surely there is an evolution, and with a new generation of teachers, the situation is slowly changing. So during this project, during my thesis project, I had the opportunity to confront myself with different experts and teachers on this topic, and many of them know computational thinking and try to bring it in the schools in the next years that are coming. So ShapeSR was developed to use on tablet, and which are already present in some schools. And I think that in the future, there will be more and more present to promote learning and create interactive lessons. So to conclude, augmented reality, in my opinion, is a technology that can give an added value to education. And I think that in the future, we will see it more often in the schools as a tool.
Yeah, it's funny because when I was working on it, like the digital tools were seen as kind of like the evil getting into the schools, and now iPads are there already, so it wouldn't make sense to go for a more physical solution. So this is the one that I chose to go for.
Yeah.
Cool. Then I guess that we're ready to go for the next question, next sessions. Sorry, not questions.
c'est bien mieux que tout. Mieux vaut ne penser à rien que de penser à vous. Ça ne me vaut rien, ça ne me vaut rien de tout. Comme si de rien n'était, je pense à tout. Ces petits riens qui me venaient de vous. Si c'était trois fois rien entre nous. Évidemment, ça ne fait pas beaucoup. Mieux vaut ne penser à rien que de penser à vous. Ça ne me vaut rien, ça ne me vaut rien.
Exhibitions Catalog. From Impressionists to Post-Impressionists.
Comme si de rien n'était, je pense à tout.
The Ballet Class. By Degas. Dance at the Moulin de la Galette. By Renoir. The Luncheon on the Grass. By Monet.
Évidemment, ça ne fait pas beaucoup. Ce sont
Painting added to the route.
que j'ai mis bout à bout. Ces petits riens
First, let's go to the tactile paving. It's the safer way. Turn to the right at the next paving intersection. Can you hear the music? Sounds like they're having a dance class. It's a ballet rehearsal. We're almost there. We did it.
Mieux vaut ne penser à rien que de penser à vous.
The Ballet Class. By Degas.
Ça ne me vaut rien.
Welcome to the fascinating The Ballet Class by Edgar Degas. Degas.
N'était, je pense à tout. Ces petits riens qui me venaient de vous. Si c'était trois fois rien entre nous.
Hi. Can you hear me? Sorry, there is a little bit of a background noise from somewhere. Okay. So Sarah, yeah, I am. I just like it's really hard for me to speak with this background noise. Can people mute for a second, please? Okay, thank you. Haha, much better. I can hear myself. Thanks. Sarah, I just wanted to say that I love the subject that you chose. I think that mindfulness, and not just for people with OCD, is, at least in London, it's such a big trend. People really see how it affects people's life in the day-to-day. In the previous company I worked in, they even had like every week half an hour for mindfulness. And like with a room that people could just go in and be silent and focus on doing some mindfulness exercises. So I think that choosing that topic in combination of focusing on a population that really needs and really benefit from exercising on a regular basis with mindfulness is a great cause, really. I really liked also the way that he chose, like the colors that you chose for the app and the illustration styles managed to bring joyful moments, even though they were really relaxed. So you really managed to create this like really calm environment, but not boring, right? Because the illustrations really brought life into it. So I really enjoyed seeing that. I think that I also really like to see the fact that you can actually measure how well you are doing with the physical connection of the stripe. I was wondering about a behavior change because it comes like it's a new app, it has a new device, and people need to start and use it, but not only once, right? They need to use it on a regular basis, so it will really affect their lives. How do you think, what does the app doing, or what thoughts did you have on really affect people to come back and use it over and over again?
I really thank you for your question. The way is introduces the usage of this application is specifically for OCD patients, and it is introduced by therapists. So I imagine that it is the therapist that understand when it's the right timing to introduce this application, and can be a support to the practice of mindfulness that is recognized as one of the most popular cognitive behavior technique that are used for OCD patients. So they have to do some homeworks that can require everyday life practice, and that's important. That is to say also that for OCD patients it's really complicated to do mindfulness, and especially to focus on breath. So to focus on bodily sensations because of mental ruminations. So I created this support that can help OCD patients in everyday life to do the practice that they have to do for therapeutic purpose by supporting them with an external biofeedback that can help to concentrate and to focus on breath through an external visual output, and also support during situations that can trigger thoughts or anxiety, so through a relaxation exercise. And also it can be very helpful in everyday life because it also gives some suggestions or insights to help the patient to be more aware of his situation, of his status, and also the possibility of receiving feedback from the therapist, because the ecosystem is also created with a web platform for the therapist to monitor the patient, to track the patient, and give a plan to follow until the next live sessions. So it can be really something that can help people while they are facing the therapeutic path that can last in weeks or months on the basis of the situation of the patient.
Thank you. I think it's such a wonderful way to help people with OCD to not just in therapy sessions, but also in their everyday life. And yeah, I guess that reminders could be, like as you said, like a really good way of reminding them to do that. You also mentioned that you were thinking about them using it when they experience anxiety. Were you thinking on next stages on how to monitor, how to track those anxiety sessions coming, or using that device to maybe track that as well?
Yeah, it would be interesting. So as further step, I would like to create something that can be also wearable, that can be like a smartwatch that you can use in your everyday life, so that it can monitor the patient, can monitor the user, understand if he's in hyperventilation or maybe he's anxious. So to prevent that the situation get worse, maybe it can prevent by suggesting a relaxation exercise that can be just 3 minutes of mindfulness or 4, 7, 8 seconds breathing that can really help to calm down and to focus on here and now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, Maria. Thank you for your project. Very, very, very interesting topic and very interesting use of voice user interfaces. I'm really looking forward for a future where we are making larger use of this kind of technology, because I really think it's going to be a UX. It is already being, and it's going to be a big UX revolution in terms of interfaces, maybe the biggest we have had for a while, and it especially is going to be very helpful indeed with people with difficulties in seeing, but also in moving, for instance. So I really look forward to see more projects coming, making use of the technology like yours. I was curious about one detail in your project, because you mentioned using Bluetooth technology for the positioning of elements in the path, but also using tactile floors, which is a very traditional way of helping people with visual impairments to move around the space. Can you foresee a way of, because that is an element that within the design of a space makes it less flexible to update compared to the positioning of Bluetooth beacons or to like working with technology in general. Can you imagine a way we could get rid of the tactile floor and use technology instead? So like making larger use of BLE, Bluetooth, or different sort of like tactile feedbacks through the phone itself, for instance, in order to help people to move in the space?
Yes, it is a good question actually, because this system is not meant for a specific exhibition. It can be applied in many other exhibitions in the future, and I understand that the path could change, but I think it's important also to understand why did I choose this component if there is already an audio system. And the reason why it started in the beginning phase, in the research phase, where some users pointed that floor is very important to them. So it's like a source of information. Mm-hmm. And so the decision behind it from the beginning was to have something that can complement what the turn-by-turn navigation without overloading the audio channel. So, and also it can be something that informs other users that there is a way to follow, and there is a navigation flow, and there is a circulation inside the museum. So I wouldn't remove the tactile paving and the idea of having information in another way rather than audio. But I think what can be implemented is removable tiles, for example, that it's something that it's not fixed. So it can be applied in every exhibition in the way the people in charge of the design decides to display it.
Okay. Yeah, that makes an interesting point for making another project. Like, do you know if there is on the market already something removable in terms of tactile pavement for visually impaired?
No, honestly, I don't know, but I have seen the technology that there are tiles that can be put indoors. So it's not something like fixed in the ground, that it can be moved around. It can be placed wherever you want.
Okay, cool. Well, then, yeah, double project, removable tactile flooring and the app to support the navigation. Okay, well, thank you very much for your answer.
Thank you for your question. Bye.
Bye.
Good. So I have two questions, actually. One is for Serena and one for Anne. I'll start with the one for Serena. Yeah, very contemporary aspect of our society. So like gender inclusion and having interfaces that are open for everyone, that are inclusive, and also the approach that you took in your thesis is very interesting, of kind of creating guidelines for yourself so that you could redesign the interface of ASOS. And my question is, it's kind of like almost a tricky question, but let's see how it goes. As designers, we often have to, follow guidelines, right? And I was wondering, how was the experience of following your own guidelines in trying to redesign the ASOS interface? And if then, looking at the results, if you have, any things that you wish you would have like changed in the guidelines themselves. I don't know if it's 100% clear, but
yeah, thank you so much for the question. Actually, I've never designed interfaces. This was my first time, and I'm very satisfied with the results, actually. I also learned a lot myself while doing researches and interviewing people, and I actually enjoyed the process and loved it. And I think, obviously the outcome can be improved in many aspects, the functional and the visual part of it. But I think it has been a good point, a good starting point, and from which starting to evolve the prototype and the project. The only thing I would have done differently, actually, as I said, I never designed services or interfaces. That's why I actually didn't know a lot about the designing process of that. And I would have done differently the process of studying the designing steps for designers, because I needed to know better the different stages to follow in order to have a more accurate and precise result. But apart from that, as I said, I am quite satisfied with the final result.
Yeah, good point. I think this is also, one of the things that many design systems and design guidelines are kind of missing out on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Then we have a question for Anne. So also here, very, hot topic. So creating, an app that helps people getting information on coronavirus. So, my question is about trust in general. Like, so as we live in an era of, fake news and Russian election piloting meme factories. So I guess that for topics like this, trust is, central, right? And I wonder how did you manage through your designs and through your solution to, elevate trust in your users? I'm just curious to hear, what was the technique there?
Thank you very much for the question. So essentially, information has been derived from various sources because, for example, during a pandemic or a crisis, misinformation thrives. We are bombarded with an avalanche of misinformation from various sources, which is not verified. So in this context, for example, we've seen that fake information encourages panic buying, and sometimes it can target individuals of specific ethnic group. For example, the Chinese. We've seen how this crisis has evolved in West Africa, especially during the Ebola crisis. So we live in an era where technology has evolved and become much more sophisticated. So digital media has acted as a double-edged sword, and social media has been used as a tool to spread both fact and false information. So with the platform that I designed, individuals can access accurate and clear information. Essentially, that's the goal. And with the platform, it's meant to destigmatize some information about COVID-19, especially in the African context. And with this application that I propose, it can actually be adopted in future in other pandemic situations. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I guess that now we'll go back to Massimo for the closing speech, I guess.
So here we are. I would like to thank you everyone for participating in this event where we were able to share the student projects and receive comments from the experts. I have to say that after today, I hope we will continue to stay in touch with the students as we are part of the same community now more and more. And we hope to receive news about your careers and that we will meet soon or as soon as possible. Before to close this online event, I would like to thank you again, the jury members, so Sabina Barcucci and Antonio De Pasquale, the invited speakers, so Orly Golan, Alice Mela, and Federico Lameri, and then Serena Cangiano for the coordination of the master course, Marco Lurati and Giovanni Profeta for their work as teachers and tutors, Daniele Murgia that has joined our group a few time ago, and Silvia Converso for the management. So thank you everyone, and if you want to say, I would like to say goodbye to everyone that is connected, and everyone will see this streaming. Bye.